Hi Albert, and welcome to the next instalment.
Good morning, Melissa. How are you today?
I didn't think you were going to speak to me for a minute then.
No, it's lovely. Lovely to have you here.
Thank you.
As opposed to Matt last week, who, to be honest, it's quite distracting having him ask questions. He's got that massive bob of dark curly hair, and it sort of just seems to weave around a bit and takes your attention away. I actually think he'd been better if he was born in the 70s. Well, if he lived in the 70s and he had disco gear on, he's got that kind of look to him.
Okay, you're just waffling now, so let's get into it. What was your feedback from last week's clip?
Yeah, a bit of mixed feedback. Most of it was about the background, and everyone said what was going on. It looked like a bit of jib there. Someone said they saw some handcuffs hanging up, which sounds a bit kinky, behind us. Another person still had a great face for radio, so it was a bit of a mixed feedback.
It's a bit mean, isn't it?
It's mean. It's very mean, but thought we'd take it outside this week. Thought we'd go for a different kind of background with a bit of some nice surroundings.
Again, you're waffling, so we'll get into it with a bit of racing news about Opie Bosson.
Yeah, a bit sad, really. Opie Bosson has announced he's taken a definite spell from riding, try and get his weight right. He's going to work for Waikato Stud, and that could mean retirement, which is very sad because we have very few international class riders in New Zealand, and he's one of them. He's gone. He's probably been recognised as the best rider in New Zealand for the last few years. So when it comes to big races, it's going to become very hard to get a top jockey. So I hope he does make a comeback. Here's his last day of riding on Saturday, and I hope he goes out with a win, just not against us in one of our races.
Right, and what about last week's runners?
Yeah, we had two good runners. On Saturday we had Passing Shot. He ran the Bone Crusher Stakes, and it was a good run. The winner, he ran second. The winner was very, very impressive. Winner won by about 4 lengths, but he beat the rest of the field just as easily. And he had actually had a few things go against him. He was only second up, not third up like the winner, so he's still a bit soft. There was that riderless horse that came up on his inside, and that made him over race a bit. And he got his tongue in an awkward position in the home straight, which we'll have to keep an eye out for. But he'll improve lengths for that, and particularly back on a better track. If we get a firmer track, he'll improve again. So he's right on target for the 2,000 guineas.
And Dixie Express?
Yeah, she ran on Thursday at Wanganui, and we thought it should run very well, and in fact she did run well. But I think Robbie Hannon would probably admit it was one of his better rides. We wanted to be midfield, and we ended up being last, and a couple of clear lengths last, which just made it too tough for her. She made it really good ground the straight though, and came through horses and hit the line well on a day where there was a front runner's bias. And I think that she has got a big future, and you'll just see her progress from here. We think she's pretty smart.
And a pretty exciting weekend coming up for Go Racing.
Yeah, it is an exciting weekend. We also did something a bit different this week. We started tweeting. We're being dragged into the 21st century, which is good, and nice to see we've got quite a few followers. So if anyone wants to follow us and hear our little rants and raves, search for us on Twitter, or drop us an email and I'll give you the link.
But let's talk about this big weekend for Go Racing. Tomorrow, Saturday, shall we start with that?
Yeah, we've got 6 runners over the weekend. Starting down at Riccarton, we've got Mount Difficulty fresh up, and he now takes the mantle as our oldest horse. He's a 7-year-old now and takes over from Pycock Flyer, who of course was 11 and retired last week, so he's just a baby. But he races fresh up at Riccarton over 1,200 metres. He trialled the other week and he only finished 2 to 4, but it was actually a very good trial. He was under a strong hold, and he can run well tomorrow. Two factors will depend on that. He's drawn very wide, unfortunately, so he's going to have to go back, and track conditions are a key. If it's worse than a dead 4, he just basically can't sprint. If it's a dead 4 or better, he's got a very good sprint and he'll be very competitive. So track conditions are the key for him.
And north and south in the Hawke's Bay.
Yeah, 3 runners at Hawke's Bay, the premier meeting tomorrow, and I'll be down there. I'll be allowed to go to the races this week. She's running in the 85 mile, it's a good field. I think there's 11 horses, maybe 10 horses left in it, so it's a small field but a good field. Horses like Tynecott in there. Track conditions are going to be key for her. She ran last start in the Muriel Metric Mile, and it was a very good run at Group 3 level on a dead forward track. And as most of us know, when it rains, north and south grows an extra leg. It's a dead 5 or 6 down there on Friday today. So if the rain doesn't come, she's likely to be scratched. But if the rain comes and gets out to a slow track, she could even start favourite, and she will be a very good chance if it rains. So again, it's weather dependent for her, but the other way around, she needs rain.
And Prince Mambo.
Yeah, Prince Mambo in the Group 2 Hawke's Bay Guineas. He ran fresh up at Ruakaka a few weeks back, and at first we were a little bit disappointed with his run, but when we went back and had a look at it, it had a lot more merit than we first thought. He got well back, he got a check, his gate didn't open properly, and he made up a lot of ground in the straight, and his last closing section was good. His work this week's been excellent, and going back to the left-handed is a key for him. All his top form is left-handed. When he ran second in the Group 1 at Awapuni, the Oak State Classic, and when he won his listed race, the Slipper at Matamata. So those factors, are in his favour, and up to 1400 metres as well. He has drawn very wide in barrier 12, and that's going to make it difficult. So Danielle Johnson's going to have to be on her game to find him a position. But if she can find him a position, and the track doesn't get too bad, he can run a very strong race.
And the mighty Solomon.
Yes, he was good last start, wasn't he?
Wasn't
he? Yeah, he came fresh up. He came from probably last at the 300 and won against a very good field. And the horse he beat by 3 lengths that day, Far Fetched, came out on Thursday and won by about 3 lengths. He's a very exciting horse. He's got a lot of ability. And he's probably improved since his first up run. He's going into this run in better shape than his first up run. He stays in the same grade, rating 75. It's worth $40,000 minimums tomorrow. And he's got barrier 8, which isn't too bad. He should be able to sit midfield, and he pretty much handles any track conditions. So look, I think he's probably our best chance of the weekend.
And on the theme of bad draws, unfortunately, on Sunday, Not Afraid.
Yes, yeah. We should stop talking about bad draws, but unfortunately we have to. She's drawn barrier 12. We've got a series of very wide draws, and for her, that barrier draw is very bad news. Races at Waipa, and Waipa only has a 250 metre straight. So if you've got from her draw there, she's going to have to go back. And it's very hard to come wide at Waipa because I've got a dummy straight, so we're going to have to ride her for luck. And with only a 250 metre straight, really it is very difficult for her. She's just going to have to look for gaps in the straight. Fortunately, we've got Craig Grills on board, and the Grills family have lived in Te Awamutu for generations, and they ride the track very well. But from that draw for her fresh up, we're probably at best looking at weighing in. I would think. You never know if the gaps come. She could be a chance, but if she weighs in, we'll be pretty happy looking at the rest of her campaign.
And finally, Stiletto in Singapore.
Yeah, we finish the weekend with Stiletto. She runs in an $80,000 Class 3, 1,200 metres on the turf on Sunday. Just fantastic prize money in Singapore, unbelievable. It's a very strong field, but she is one horse that's drawn well. She's got barrier 4, and we've got Bruce's apprentice, Zuriman Zafliki, on board, claiming 2, so she's only carrying 51 kilos. She'll jump, put herself handy, and she could even lead. And look, I think she'll be pretty competitive. She hasn't raced for a considerable amount of time because her last race was canned. Unbelievable, a $60,000 race with only 4 entries, but it was canned a few weeks back. And probably the last 100 metres, just fitness-wise, without that race, with a question mark. But on her work, we think she'll be very competitive on Sunday.
And Albie, we've got a visitor to the Go Racing segment.
We have.
is in fact my mother's cat, Pearl. She hasn't got any tips for us though.
Yeah, she's been a wee distraction as we've done it this morning. We must tell the truth, we tried to do it last night and your mother's cat got involved again as well. But these
That sounds kinky.
I said your mother's cat. These are the dangers of working with animals, whether they be horses or cats. You don't actually quite know what's going to happen.
True. So a big weekend, Albert, and the question on everyone's lips, where in the world is Matt Allnut?
Good question. Yeah, well, Matt has decided to depart and he is going on holiday to the Gold Coast with Megan, his wife, and his kids on Saturday. But unlike me, who wasn't allowed to go to the races last week and I had a special event on, Matt is going to go to Riccarton before his flight to see Mount Difficulty, and then he's off. So no, he deserves his break. As everyone knows, he's a great guy, and he's very popular. But it also means that we may have another guest presenter next week because he'll still be away on holiday.
Watch this space.
Thanks, Melissa.
Thanks.